Today I'm here to tell you that New Year's resolutions are a trap. The new year often leads to many people deciding it's time to make a change in their lives as they reflect on the year that was. And it might sound like a cliche, but a lot of these people have great intentions, but they don't tend to follow through with their resolutions. Any change to their lives or habits are short-lived. Surely this is not new information to you, and I know that I am not the first person on the internet to make a video about this, so I'm here to tell you about how resolutions are a trap. I'm also going to tell you about the 3 best things that happened to me in this shitty year that was 2020, and the non-New Year's resolutions they stemmed from. And at the end I also have a tip for if you do end up making some New Year's resolutions. I take issue with New Year's resolutions generally. Like, who decided that there was one day of the year that you could make a resolution and the rest of the 364 days of the years, they are banned? Maybe that's just my black and white thinking, but I think it's really dumb that there's only this one chance in the year that you're allowed to, or that you're given permission to make a change in your life. This year, 3 excellent things happened to me. Yes, it was a really rough year for a lot of people, but there were 3 great things that happened to me, and they all stemmed from 3 resolutions that I made at some point, not necessarily at the new year, actually specifically not at the new year. The first resolution was that I quit alcohol. After being someone who really actually enjoyed a drink for a really long time, and someone who leant heavily on drinking to feel comfortable in social situations, I decided to give it up one Friday evening. My fiancé came to meet me one Friday after work, and we went out for a spontaneous dinner and drinks. I enjoyed a couple of wines that evening, and while we were sitting there enjoying ourselves, I told myself that that would be the last drink I was going to have, for a while, if not forever. Eventually I told my fiancé my decision, but I didn't tell anyone else. I thought about making some big announcement, but then I thought back to a thing about how if you tell someone your goals, then you're less likely to achieve them. I also really wasn't sure how long I'd last, so I decided to just take it day by day. One day became a week became a month, then 2, then 6, and now it's been almost a year. My life has been seriously so much better since I've been sober, particularly my mental health and my anxiety. And I put it down to making that resolution that random Friday evening in January. And that is a good segue onto my next resolution. The second of the best 3 things to happen to me this year is that I started seeing a psychologist regularly again, to help me try and understand my anxiety and my mind a little bit more. Having had therapy previously, I was pretty scared of becoming vulnerable again, to open myself up to someone to try and help me with the problems that I have. For those of you that have gone through the process, I'm sure you'll be very familiar with that feeling of finding a good fit with a psych. Thankfully, my psych and I really just clicked the first session that we had, which was really good, and since then we've been working through a lot of things. I can't pinpoint exactly when it was I made the resolution to go and actually start seeing someone again, but I think the pressures of the year had slowly been building up, and it was just time, and I just knew that I needed to go and do something because I didn't want to feel the way I was feeling anymore. I knew that I needed to start to understand those feelings a little deeper and to try and change the psychological habits that I have about myself. I'm going to keep seeing my psych for as long as it takes until I feel like I can cope on my own in the world, but I really believe that sorting out your mental health can really unlock so much more of your life, and it is a really big, scary, awful thing to do, but that is, one of the other best things that happened to me this year. I'm proud of myself for making that resolution whenever it was, and I still have a long way to go, but we'll get there. Finally, the third thing that happened this year that was probably, actually the best thing, and that was that I got engaged. And now before you say, that's not a resolution that you can make about life, well actually it is. A few years ago, after a bad breakup and when I was on the cusp of downloading a dating app, I made a resolution to myself about the kind of person that I wanted to be with as a life partner. It was around April or May of 2018, and I remember that I told at least probably one of my friends I wanted to be with a person I could go to a sporting event with, but also someone that I could go to the theatre with. And I also decided that if I didn't meet the person who fit that criteria, then I would be more than happy just to be with myself. Nick minute, I got some free tickets to the rugby and I put out the call on Facebook to see if anyone was interested to come along with me. And I got a reply from an acquaintance slash friend slash person I used to have coffee with a really long time ago.
You consider me the best actor slash model, and not the other way around.
Someone I hadn't seen in 6 years, and he was interested. At the time, I still considered him only a friend, even after that whole evening that we had together. And despite the fact that he'd grown into his lankiness and he'd had a haircut and he'd really kind of grown up and become quite a handsome man. I was a couple of months away from going on exchange for a semester for uni, and I was not interested in being in a long distance relationship at all. But the universe decided to lay down a different path. We went to the rugby in May, we kissed in June, we saw the Book of Mormon in July, and fast forward a couple of years later and we're engaged. I guess my resolution to find a guy that I could go to a sporting match with and to the theatre with came true. Last of all, science shows that telling people your goals actually makes you less likely to achieve them. A guy called Peter Gollwitzer and his mates from NYU did some research that shows that voicing your intentions leads to less effort spent working towards that goal. So, if goals need effort, and if you don't give as much effort, then you're probably less likely to achieve the goal. Also, when you tell someone your goal, someone might respond with really positive reinforcement saying, hey, that's great, that's a great thing to work towards. And that tells your brain that you've already kind of half finished the goal, so then you become lazy and you actually don't achieve the thing. I'm not saying this goes for everyone, but you can't argue science. So if you are going to make a resolution this year, this is my hot tip for you: keep it to yourself, don't tell anyone. Then you'll give yourself the best chance of achieving it. Basically, all I'm trying to say here is don't get sucked into making resolutions only at this time of year, especially after the year that we've just had. Make a resolution whenever you like and see what happens. And just a reminder, if you do make a New Year's resolution, keep it a secret. And that's it from me. Happy New Year. Bye.